Right now, the world is still confused by the man who doesn't need marriage, the one who stays whole without anyone completing him. They drown it with work, with company, with anything that reminds them they're still moving. When life finally becomes still, a man hears the truth he's been avoiding. It isn't the world calling him, it's himself. That first sting is your mind checking if you're done hiding. It isn't danger, it's the beginning of freedom. This is how some men outlast their times, not by resisting society, but by refusing to be consumed by its pace. A man who lives on his own doesn't shrink, he sharpens. Standing in the garage after a small fix on something you thought was done for, you notice your grip firm and your head clearer than before. Somewhere along the way, the world taught you to fear slowing down. From the moment you were young, the world sold you the same dream. Find someone, settle down, then you'll be whole. But that message was never about love. It was about control, because a man who needs to be completed is easy to direct. A man who's already whole can't be moved. It told you that being alone means being unwanted, but the Stoics saw it differently. When a man sits with nothing to distract him, his own judgment comes through stronger than any outside voice. I once knew a man who kept the TV on because the empty house scared him. One day he turned it off and the room hit him with a kind of plainness he hadn't faced before. He told me, "Now I sit with nothing running in the background, and sometimes it talks louder than people do." It's the part of you that shows up when you stop matching who you are to what others expect. When you listen long enough, you hear something inside saying, "I never left." Other men see you calm, grounded, and start to wonder, maybe I don't need to chase either. Imagine sitting at your desk one evening, the city faint outside, no messages, no demands. You take one slow breath and realize you're not waiting for anyone anymore. No one needs to reply, no one needs to understand. And right then, life stops feeling like it's on hold. That's the kind of backbone no one can shake loose. It's the moment your heart whispers, maybe I wasn't lost at all, just pulled into too many directions. Most men don't collapse from pressure, they dissolve from distraction. If that line sounded a little too true for your own life, press like so you remember you're not the only one walking it. And when it finally lands, it becomes a current that runs through everything you do, how you walk, how you speak, how you look at life. People sense it. They may not know what shifted, but they feel a man who moves with his own direction. Maybe later, when someone leaves and you notice you're standing stronger than you expected. If something inside you softened while listening, don't let it fade. Write it, speak it. You were never broken. You were just too surrounded to hear yourself. When you stop needing noise, there's a moment in every man's life when he realizes he's been living inside a constant hum. The notifications, the small talk, the endless effort to be seen. And when everything suddenly slows down, it feels unfamiliar in a way that catches you off guard. That's the addiction no one talks about. Not alcohol, not comfort, but constant pull. Societies move fast because they burn fast. What lasts belongs to the men who step back and choose durability over attention. We use it to stay busy, to stay distracted, to stay numb. At first, I fought it too. My friends used to laugh because I kept opening the fridge as if wisdom was hiding behind the milk. It was the only thing reminding me how restless my mind really was. So I'd reach for something, music, a message, anything that could fill the gap between me and myself. The fear wasn't of loneliness, it was of meeting the man you had avoided. A man grows fast the day he stops dodging his own reflection. Stand in front of a mirror once today and name one habit you no longer want to finance with your time. Say it out loud once, then walk away and do nothing else about it. And if that hits too close, breathe. You're not breaking, you're just meeting the part of you that's been waiting to be seen. A man becomes harder to sway the day he starts backing his own decisions. Every time you face that emptiness, you strip away roles you were never meant to play. Each pause gives you a chance to realign. That kind of strength doesn't borrow stability from anyone else. So right now, let this shift push you forward, because ease doesn't take from you, it returns you to yourself. And that's when solitude stops being something you endure and becomes the place you finally live. And if you listen closely, you'll hear it again. That first echo, softer now, but truer. Let's move into that open stretch now. Solitude is mirror. Being on your own has a way of showing things as they are. It doesn't flatter, it doesn't lie. It just shows you what's still there when everything else falls away. But here's the risk. When you spend time just to make it pass, it becomes another distraction. You stay busy without moving your life forward. A smarter move is shifting your focus from what feels wrong to what actually works. You start focusing less on flaws and more on what genuinely supports your life. That's why stepping back from constant input isn't withdrawal. It's an honest look at your life. Sometimes a man needs one direct line more than 100 explanations. I once caught my own face in a shop window after a long day and saw a man who looked tougher than he felt. That 2-second glimpse told me more than years of thinking ever did. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that most of a man's suffering comes from resisting what already exists, not from the thing itself. Nothing tests a man like being on his own, and nothing builds him more than learning to handle it well. And understanding doesn't come from more distraction. It comes from giving yourself enough time to notice what's been inside you for years. So right now, stay with me. Under all the proving, under all the acting. Every man eventually meets the version of himself he can't avoid anymore. It's terrifying, then liberating. My sister said nothing had changed, but I noticed she stopped questioning my choices the way she used to. That's how I knew the shift was real. Not because conversations got warmer, but because they got simpler. Because that's the moment you stop chasing identity and start embodying it. And if you're listening thinking, maybe I still want someone beside me, that's not weakness. Wanting love doesn't make you smaller. It just means you're human like everyone else. What counts is the man you are when no one's around to judge. You'll feel the shift when grounded energy starts to matter more than excitement. At some point, you'll look at yourself and feel less pressure, not because you changed, but because you stopped fighting who you are. And for the first time, you'll look into it and think, I'm enough. Sometimes one man's straight talk becomes another man's turning point. Not because someone told you so, but because in that empty moment, you finally heard it for yourself. If one sentence in this part landed for you, write it in the comments. Another man may need your words more than mine. The weight of clarity. Mark had been seeing someone for a long time. After an argument, he stayed in his car longer than he needed to. That pause showed him something the argument never could. Talking wasn't what eased him. Stepping away was. That was the surprise. Less effort brought more relief. A man often finds out it wasn't the work draining him, but the roles he kept doing just to please others. Most exhaustion isn't physical, it's performance. Life got easier when he realized some problems weren't really his business. Clarity didn't add anything to his life. It took weight off his shoulders. That's how a man lasts longer than trends, by carrying less while everyone else is rushing to carry more. Warren Buffett once said that the difference between successful people and very successful people is that they say no to almost everything, so their energy stays clear. I know it's not easy. At first, living your own way without worrying about others simply feels unfamiliar. Your instinct will be to distract yourself or rush to change something. But men who stayed learn that not everything needs fixing right away. This is where most men panic. They mistake space for danger. Most men react by staying busy, but the ones who wait learn what actually matters. Things you once called responsibilities turn out to be smaller than you thought. People figure things out without pulling you into everything, and suddenly you have room to pick up an interest you never had time for. Most men don't expect that. Think of pruning a branch. It looks harsh at first, but the tree grows stronger afterward. Growth often looks like loss right before it pays off. You begin to notice the real luxuries. A morning with no rush, a night where no one demands an answer, a decision made from strength, not rush. That's what the world calls lonely? No, that's freedom in its purest form. It hits hardest when you notice how much of your stress wasn't even yours. A single man grows faster the day he stops debating his own worth. And here's the truth no one advertises. When you live without constant interference, your emotions begin to obey you. Your mind starts aligning with purpose. You stop clinging to responsibilities that were never really yours. And oddly enough, people handle more on their own. Stay there for a moment. What you're feeling isn't emptiness. It's unused energy returning to you. Most good decisions start when a man gives himself half a second before reacting. The hidden fire. There's a fire that burns in men who walk alone. Being alone doesn't cool a man down. It sharpens who he is. Fire that spreads everywhere burns out fast. Fire kept contained warms a man for decades. That's why a centered man walks differently. He's not rushing. He's carrying weight the world doesn't see. If you've been holding that same unseen load, know this: being tired doesn't make you weak. Every man who rebuilds himself does it low-key at first. Some men get their edge back the second they stop apologizing for who they are. I once knew a man who thought his best years were gone until he spent one afternoon working in his garden. The job took 30 minutes, but he said it lit something in him he hadn't felt in a decade. He walked out of that work taller than he went in. Fire doesn't need permission to burn, it just needs containment. When you stop explaining yourself, something inside you starts refining itself. When you stop explaining yourself, your value becomes obvious without effort. There's a reason monks, warriors, and artists all retreat into solitude before returning to the world. They aren't escaping life. They're preparing to re-enter it, sharper, cleaner, lighter. If this space feels different, stay close. It's the moment when your emotions stop being dictators and start being signals. It's when life stops being a fight and starts becoming a flow. So if your life feels slowed down right now, don't mistake it for stagnation. It's the heat before strength, the grounded fire that shapes direction, patience, and certainty. Stay in that fire. Let it burn everything false, because what remains after the flame is you, unshaken, awake, and free. And don't rush to rise yet. Let that warmth settle. The strength that lasts is the kind you build slowly and consciously. That's the turning point, when inner order stops being an idea and starts becoming strength. If this way of moving through life feels familiar to you, you're already one of the men this space is built for. Most men copy, the rare few decide to become originals. Every hour you spend alone is not emptiness, it's construction. You're not disappearing, you're being rebuilt from the inside out. But remember, construction doesn't mean isolation. Even builders need the world they're shaping. You grow alone, but you live among others. True solitude forces you to meet the part of you you've been hiding, the selfish, the proud, the untamed. But when you stop fighting them, they stop ruling you. That's the secret. Integration, not perfection. But But integration always costs something. Ready to see what it takes? Up to this point, you've learned how being on your own shapes strength, how time alone sharpens fire, and how understanding builds stability. But now comes the hardest part, staying free when the world starts pulling you back. Freedom from validation. Applause feels good until a man realizes how quickly it teaches him to perform instead of live. Because every man's been there, needing someone to say he's enough. It doesn't make you broken, it just means you're human. You stop performing and life starts feeling like something you actually live inside. I used to chase likes and praise, thinking it meant I mattered. Over time, I saw how every compliment slowly pulled me away from myself. You'll notice this too. If you don't rush to chase approval, something steadier takes its place. Some lessons only land when a man finally stops asking for a softer world. I used to check my phone as if confidence could be delivered like a package. The day you stop explaining yourself, the world grows quieter. Your worth was never meant to be voted on. Somewhere deep down, you've always known you were enough. This is just the first time you're believing it. And here's the paradox. When you stop chasing their approval, people start reacting to you differently. Not because you changed, but because you stopped offering yourself for judgment. That's when a lot of pressure quietly loses its grip. Expectations, guilt, even advertising, they only worked when you were busy proving yourself. Letting go of control. Control feels safe until it quietly starts draining your energy. You hold life so tightly it can't breathe, and the more you grip, the more it escapes. We think structure means strength, but often it's just fear wearing a disciplined mask. Some men spend years trying to control everything: their career, their partner, their timing, even their healing. It's like trying to hold water in your hands. The harder you grip, the more it slips through. There's another way. When you release your grip, you don't fall, you float. That's when life starts responding instead of resisting. The Stoics called it amor fati, to love whatever happens, not as surrender but as alignment. Every twist, every delay, all the times you thought life was breaking you, it was simply reshaping you. A man gets lighter the day he stops arguing with the path under his feet. You were never falling apart. You were being corrected. He once told me something shifted the day he walked through the city with no schedule and no reason to hurry. That was the moment he realized nothing bad happens when you stop gripping the day by the throat. If you've had a moment like that in your own life, even a small one, keep it in mind. Those quiet realizations tend to surface when you give them space. Sometimes a man holds on so tightly that he forgets life works better when his hands finally open. So take a breath, drop the constant reacting, and that's when you finally see you were never meant to control the path, only to walk it with open hands. The wise man doesn't wrestle life into obedience. He dances with what arrives. Each silence, each detour, each ending, all of it was the forge choosing you. As Seneca once said, no man was ever wise by chance. What feels uncomfortable today often becomes the ground you stand strongest on. When you stop resisting, destiny stops fighting back. Stability is trained. Most men wait for life to settle before they change how they respond to it. That wait usually lasts forever. That's fine. A stable inner state isn't a switch. It's built through repeated restraint. Most men rush to interfere when discomfort shows up. Learning to pause instead is where real strength forms. When you stop forcing outcomes, your nervous reactions lose their grip. What follows isn't softness. It's control returning to its proper place. It took me years to admit that stress wasn't the enemy. My habits were. A man moves forward the day he stops arguing with what already happened. A man advances the day instinct stops driving his decisions. Progress begins when habit stops making choices for you. Most men wait for conditions to improve. Stronger men improve how they respond instead. Society swings between panic and excitement. A steady man outlasts both by refusing to move with either. Stability is trained in small ways, finishing the day without needing reassurance, keeping your pace when others rush, eating one meal with full attention. Keanu Reeves, the actor known for living simply and staying grounded despite massive success, lives this way without calling it discipline, just choosing the same steady habits day after day. When something bothers you, don't ask, "How do I fix this?" Ask instead, "Can I respond without adding force?" That single shift turns panic into power. Strength shows up when consistency becomes non-negotiable. Others notice it before you ever mention it. That's what you're returning to. Not a place, but your own center. One evening, the kids dropped by without warning. The house got loud. They argued over nothing. The eggs burned in the pan. He noticed the small stuff no longer threw him off balance. That's how you know something has changed on the inside. And now comes the part most men avoid. Living this without reverting to old reflexes. Being single is not a rebellion against love. It is a declaration of wholeness from fullness, not fear. The discipline of ordinary days. What does your life look like on days when nothing important happens? And do those days quietly build you or slowly undo you? This part matters more than it sounds. It's where the men who last quietly separate themselves from the rest. Real change doesn't show up as a big moment. It happens while you're handling another normal day. Nothing announces progress, and that's exactly why the stage matters. This is where many men slip, not because they're weak, but because nothing feels urgent. They assume if life feels plain, something must be wrong. But ordinary days are where direction is either reinforced or quietly traded away. Men who last aren't built on peak moments. They're built on ordinary days that don't crack under pressure. A steady man isn't carried by motivation. He's carried by rhythm. This isn't discipline, it's pressure. It's keeping your day from drifting when no one is watching. This week, pick one task you usually put off. It could be taking the dog out for an evening walk, returning a call you've delayed, or finishing a small chore you keep pushing aside. You will see how much lighter you feel once it's done. Bob runs a small repair shop and opens it at the same hour every morning, even on days no customers walk in. When I asked how he stayed steady after his marriage ended and business slowed, he said it wasn't courage, just refusing to let ordinary days fall apart. There's strength in doing the same right things even when you don't feel like it. Those habits don't impress anyone at first, but they create a life that doesn't wobble every time conditions change. Here's the part most people miss. Consistency isn't about control. It's about removing friction between who you decide to be and what you actually do. When your days stop being negotiable, you waste less energy arguing with yourself. You no longer burn fuel convincing yourself to act. Action becomes a default. That's when strength stops feeling heavy. It starts feeling usable. And one day, without any announcement, you notice something shift. Your week no longer feels scattered. Your decisions take less effort. Your mood depends less on outcomes. Most men wait for life to feel exciting before they show up properly. They don't realize freedom often feels quiet, practical, and slightly uneventful. But this is the kind that lasts. If your days hold, your life holds. Nothing else matters as much. Because when a man learns to respect his days exactly as they are, life stops demanding proof. And that's when something rare takes form. A life that keeps its shape even on regular days. Unshakable freedom. True power isn't built in one decision. It's built in the small choices you refuse to walk back from. Most men don't need a new life. They need a different way of standing inside the one they already have. What lasts doesn't come from running away. It comes from staying and choosing better. You can sit in the same room, same chair, same life, and yet something shifts. You stop fighting every push and pull of the day. Nothing around you changes, but it no longer runs you. That's when no one's opinion can cage you. No loss can break you. That's how you last, when pressure no longer decides your direction. This is why the man who stands on his own terms often outlasts society itself. While systems rise and fall, he remains. Zeno taught that a man becomes free the second his decisions stop coming from fear and start coming from self-command. You don't have to prove it, you just have to live it. Living from your own center teaches you how to bring steadiness into any connection. Nothing is missing. You're already standing where your feet are. The man who no longer performs for approval holds the strongest position in the room. That's the will to power redefined, the breath that no longer trembles, the heart that no longer begs to be understood. If this journey stayed with you, thank you for walking it here with Move or Die Stoic. This space was made for men who build quietly and live deeply. Stay here. Breathe once, slow, and feel that certainty inside you. That's what freedom sounds like. You don't rise apart from the world, you rise for it. Because freedom was never meant to isolate you, but to make your love steadier, your presence kinder. One morning he poured a glass of water and noticed he wasn't late for anything. A man stands taller the day he stops shrinking himself to fit expectations.